Hey everybody, welcome back to Off the Clock, and today for episode number 10, we have our first men's lacrosse player, Aiden MacDonell.
Hey guys, my name's Aiden. I'm a grad student on the men's lacrosse team from Toronto, Ontario, Canada. Super happy to be here. Looking forward to answering any questions you have.
Growing up in Toronto, tell us about where you grew up and how it was your entire childhood and how you really got into playing lacrosse.
Sure. So I grew up in the city of Toronto, not outside. I lived in the West End. High Park, Bloor West was kind of the area I grew up. Lived there my whole life. Went to high school locally. Went to elementary school locally. I played my minor lacrosse for the Mimico Mountaineers, which is a team not too far by. Produced a bunch of lacrosse players who were playing in NCAA as well as professionally, so that's pretty cool. And then, I went to high school at Humberside Collegiate, which was just a walk down the street for me, which was nice. That's kind of where I grew up. Not too many people from my high school played lacrosse. There's a few of us, like a good group of guys my age, and then a few my brother's age, just 2 years younger. So we kind of formed the lacrosse team at our school and went from there. But yeah, living in Toronto, I loved it. Still live there now. Hope to live there for the rest of my life if I can.
And that's not too bad of a drive either.
No, it's
so
just
you
about
get to
3.5
go home.
Hours. Yeah. Nice thing about it is my parents are able to come to all of our home games.
They come to all the home games.
Yeah.
Well, they get out. You get to come down.
Yeah.
So being from Toronto, coming to Bonaventure, and now you're going to Georgia, you're really getting to travel.
Yeah.
Do you like traveling?
Yeah, I like traveling. I don't get to do it too often just with busy summers and then being at school here during the year. But, alumni Brett Dobson, who I got to play with for 1 year, he lives in Georgia now, so he's kind of giving me the scoop as to what to expect if I do end up moving down there. So
you have somebody to guide you.
Exactly, yeah.
How has your experience playing lacrosse changed from high school to college, and now you're going to the professional league?
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely different, going from high school where, I played more box lacrosse, not as much field lacrosse. Box lacrosse is a lot bigger in Canada and in Ontario. So, most of my summers was pretty intense with box lacrosse, playing for Mimico, like I said. And then coming to school has been completely different where, you're on such a tight schedule, practicing every single day, lifting every day. Getting up at 5 a.m. for conditioning to run out in the cold. I would say the difference between high school and college is the strict, schedule you have to stay on. And on top of all that, you still have to do a full course load. So that's definitely the biggest thing. And then professionally, we'll see once I get there, I guess. Hopefully I'll be able to make Georgia next year, and then I'll be able to have that experience. And I'm sure my time here at St. Bonaventure will help me a ton making the transition into professional. Yeah.
Is there anything different from your first 4 years so far compared to coming back as a grad student?
For sure. I mean, we have a full new coaching staff this year, so everything's pretty different. I've been blessed enough to since when I started as a freshman, I was with the guys who started the program. So like the Brett Dobsons, the Zach Belters, Sean Wesley, Brett Beto, just to name a few. They started the program, so I got to be with them from there for their senior year, and then I've seen every class since. So that's a kind of neat thing where you get to see kind of what those older guys bring to the table and what they've left and the culture they build, and then you try and build on that yourself.
And how it grows.
And grow it and, leave it better than you found it.
Passing the torch.
Exactly. Yeah.
And so I hear you're the team captain. Is that just for this year, or?
I was a captain last year.
Last year and
this
year.
This is my second year, yeah.
So being the captain of the team, has that kind of pushed you more to pass the torch and lead more compared to maybe your freshman, sophomore, and junior year?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I've been lucky enough to have such great leaders over my time here at St. Bonaventure. So like I said, kind of just learning from them, kind of taking the great stuff that they've bestowed on me and bringing that to the next generation. And I'm also lucky enough to have other great leaders on the team, other captains as well. So, I think we're doing our best. We're doing a pretty good job so far, but, yeah, like I said, it's just like taking little stuff that I've learned throughout my 4 years and now my fifth year, kind of putting my own spin on it, and but honoring the guys that came before me.
What was it like being drafted into the NLL by the Georgia Swarm, and how does the draft experience go?
Yeah, it was a dream come true, honestly. Like, I've wanted to play professional lacrosse for as long as I can remember. My uncle Scott actually played in the NLL
Oh,
back in the day for the Albany Attack, who no longer exist. But so yeah, ever since I always kind of looked up to him. I wore the same number as him growing up, so I always wanted to play pro. And then when the day came, it was pretty cool. I had a good group of buddies over at my house to watch the draft on the TV. And then it's kind of funny how it worked for me because the stream started lagging a bit right around when I was getting picked. And one of my buddies had gotten a text saying, "Oh, Aiden was drafted to Georgia, whatever." So they had me go in a different room while the draft was lagging out. I went into a separate room. They put the Georgia logo up on the TV and then called me in to kind of show me where I'd been drafted, it's kind of a unique situation.
yeah,
Pretty funny timing how, of course, the stream starts lagging right around when I'm getting picked.
always.
Yeah, but then it was also pretty cool, after getting drafted, getting all the phone calls. My first call from the Georgia organization was actually from Brett Dobson, who I'm pretty close with, so he gave me a FaceTime. He was quite excited and welcoming me into the organization, so yeah.
What does the process look like from here? Now that you've been drafted, you're doing one more year, or
This will be my last year, yeah.
yes, one more year, and then you're out in the world on your own. So what does it kind of look like from now until then?
Yeah, so I'll obviously start this season with St. Bonaventure, graduate with my master's degree, and then from there I'll play summer lacrosse back home for Owen Sound, which is the senior A team that drafted me, which I know it's a whole lot of,
Yeah.
I know it must be a bit confusing, but I'll play senior A this summer, and then come September, October is when the training camp is for Georgia, and then hopefully I'll make the team out of that, and then season starts usually in November. So that's
Okay.
kind of what the next year or so looks like for me.
So if you would have told little you this, what do you think he would have thought about it?
I think you'd be pretty excited.
Yeah.
Pretty happy with how things went. Like I said, it's always been a dream of mine. So hopefully, I'll be able to crack that roster next year and make my debut.
Was Georgia, looking at the grand scheme of things, higher up on the list of where you wanted to go, or was there anywhere in particular that I want to play there if I can?
No, not really. I mean, Georgia wasn't on my radar at all. Through the whole draft interview process, Georgia had never called me. So I had a few interviews with other teams. So I kind of thought, oh, maybe I'll end up here, maybe I'll end up here. And then Georgia kind of picked me out of the blue, which was cool. But I heard great things about the organization, their head coach. With Dauber living there, he loves his job. He loves what he's doing. So it'll be nice to have him there to ease the transition. And yeah, I just can't wait to get started.
And looking towards the fall as well, say we make it through training camp, you make the team, what are you most looking forward to?
I would say, just playing in front of friends and family. With the Toronto Rock having a team, Oshawa having a team, which is not too far from me. Ottawa's not too far, so I think it'll be pretty cool, going into those games and having my friends and family in the stands, the people who supported me all the way. So I'd say that would be the most surreal thing I'm looking forward to the most.
If lacrosse wasn't your sport, what would be?
I'd like to think hockey. I played hockey growing up. Didn't really pan out for me. That was kind of
That doesn't surprise me.
Yeah.
Being Canadian, that just doesn't
Yeah,
surprise
exactly. Yeah, hockey was kind of my first love, but it didn't love me back as much. My brother actually plays professionally, so I kind of get to live vicariously through him and watch his career as he goes on. So
you still get to live a little bit of both lives.
I still feel like a hockey player sometimes, but yeah, that would be my pick.
How do you approach challenges or setbacks in life compared to on the field?
I would say just leaning on my support systems. I have a really great relationship with my parents. They're always just a phone call away where, if I'm going through something tough outside of lacrosse, they're my first call. I'll hop on the phone with my mom, and
Yeah.
she'll talk me through it. And then just with lacrosse, I've had my fair share of setbacks. So kind of just same sort of thing, leaning on my support systems, reaching out to people who have been through it, people who have dealt with injuries, people who have, had tough times mentally, kind of picking their brain and seeing how they got through these tough
Yeah.
times is kind of always my first outlet.
And speaking of major setbacks, last season you tore your ACL on the third game. If you wouldn't mind telling us what that game was like for
Yeah.
you.
Yeah, we were playing against Mount St. Mary's in Maryland, I believe that's where the school is. I was having actually like a really great game. I'd scored a goal, which I don't normally do as a defender. I think I had an assist. I was buzzing around. And then, one thing leads to another. I'm chasing a guy down, kind of stopped quick. My knee gave out. I didn't originally think that it was a major injury because I was able to get up and kind of jog off. And I was on the sideline feeling it out. I'm like, oh, there's no way this is as bad as it could be.
Right.
I went back out there and something felt off and kind of knew immediately after a shift or two. Came off, and then a few weeks later found out it was a torn ACL and my season was over. So it's obviously like an athlete's worst fear, having
Right.
such a major injury that's going to keep you out for a full year. But everything happens for a reason. I'm back.
And you got to play another year.
Back here now, got my redshirt year, so
Yep.
I'm kind of over that hump now, where I worked really hard all year to get back to this point, and excited to start the season with the guys.
And for an ACL tear is a very common sports injury, a very common contact sport injury. For anybody who is dealing with this now or has before, what's your biggest piece of advice?
I would just say, try and remember the sky's not falling down. You'll get through the other side. I would say you'll get out of it what you put into it. So, if you work your ass off every single day in the gym and run and, get better every day, you'll see the benefits in the end. But if you're sitting around not working, you're going to come back in not great shape. So I was lucky enough to work with some great people along the way. Our own Darren Fisk, the strength and conditioning coach here, took time out of his day every single day to work with me individually to get me better, ready for the season. A bunch of other people I could thank, like people at home working with. My trainer, Max, at home, always had a positive mindset. Even when I was having bad days, I would come into the gym, down on myself, not feeling great, in a ton of pain, and he would kind of lift me up, which was awesome. And then my family as well.
I think that's always the hardest part when you have an injury, is having to do, you have to do the rehab, and some days you're just like, I don't want to do it
Exactly,
today.
yeah.
I don't want to go.
Yeah, it's easy to not do anything. It's hard to
It's
get
easy
up
to
and-
sit there and just feel sorry for yourself, but if you do that, you'll never get back out there.
Exactly.
And you definitely have a career ahead of you where you have to do that.
Yeah.
Is there anything you do in particular to make sure you're on the right path for a game and your head's in the right space?
Yeah, I would say I like to get to the locker room at least 2 hours before the game. Usually throw on a suit or something nice to get mentally prepared, feel professional walking into the into the locker room. I usually just throw on my headphones, head down to the training room, get whatever work done I need to do. I used to walk laps around the basketball arena before home games, but I've kind of stopped doing that just because I felt like it was a waste of time. But
Well, I think whatever works.
yeah, but definitely a big music guy. Throw my headphones on before the game, get locked in, throw my gear on, and then it's time to go.
We love music over here. So what are some of your favorite genres or types of music you like to listen to?
In general, I'm like a country, indie, folk kind of guy. But before games, it's definitely like rock and rap, a lot of Nickelback. My roommate, Owen Tasse, he's seen it, and I'm so jealous. He's seen them, I'm so jealous of them.
Was amazing.
Yeah.
And it was, I like to call it the Nickelback version of the Eras Tour because it
Yeah.
wasn't like the new album, even though they did have a couple of their most popular songs.
Yeah.
But it was every favorite song, and you're just standing there in awe.
That's awesome.
And yeah, I was all the way like on the grass and far away, but I
Yeah.
was just like living the dream.
Yeah.
So if you can, do it.
Yeah, no, it's on the bucket list. I got to make it happen because that's all I listen to before the games.
Speaking of music and relaxing before a game, on a day where you don't have to go to practice, you don't have a game, you don't have classes, what's like the dream layout game day of doing nothing?
That's a good question. I would say definitely sleeping in. Get my 8 hours. You know, being on the lacrosse team, we have some really early mornings. So get my 8 hours. I would say head down, get a good breakfast in, maybe watch a movie, watch some TV, play cards with my housemates. We're big into cards. We've got a nice little poker table in our living room. So
This doesn't surprise me at all.
Yeah, pretty typical stuff, but we get some good games of euchre going, poker, president. So I'd say at least a few hours of that. And then also recently we've been working on a puzzle as a house, an 1,000-piece puzzle, Stranger Things. It's not going too great, so maybe a perfect day would be getting at least half of that puzzle done with my housemates, and then head in for the
Puzzles.
night. Yeah, puzzles and cards. That's it.
Honestly, those are probably hobbies that nobody expects you guys to have.
Yeah, heard it here first.
Poker and puzzles.
Yeah.
What's something in this new year of 2026 that you really look forward to accomplishing outside of lacrosse?
Outside of lacrosse. Looking forward to walking the stage again, getting my master's degree in sports administration. And then I guess outside of lacrosse, finding a job, starting my real life, getting out of the whole college world and, getting my life together, I guess I'll say.
I feel like that's a very scary step. Like,
Yeah.
even being a junior and thinking about it, I was like, I don't want to think about it. I don't want to.
Yeah, push
No,
it
thank
off
you.
if you can. Do a 5th year.
What's something about you that most people don't know?
Oh, God, that's a tough one. I don't know. I feel like I'm kind of an open book, if I'm being honest. I don't know. I'm trying to. I guess this isn't really anything interesting, but I'm trying to get better at cooking.
Cooking?
That's been another New Year's resolution. My mom is always sending me like recipes she finds on TikTok and stuff.
Oh, boy.
And I'm trying to learn. I'm still not very good, but living off campus these last few years, I've kind of had to
You gotta
figure
start
it
with
out.
the easy stuff and
Yeah.
then elevate the easy stuff.
Yeah, my best friend, he graduated last year, Adkin Dwyer. He was kind of like the resident chef in our house. Although like he would talk a big game. He was like, I worked in a kitchen. I know my stuff. But then he would never cook for me. So I was like trying to figure out how he would do his stuff, but he never really gave me much.
As you talked about, your parents are a very big influence in your life.
Mhm.
Is it just your parents that you would say are the most influential, or is there somebody else?
I would definitely my parents. They were both athletes. My dad was a hockey player. My mom was a rugby player. So they've been super influential. I'm very close with my younger brother. I turn to him a lot. And then I would say like I'm lucky enough to have such a great support system here too, where my housemates are all my best friends, so I can really tell them anything. And then I've got a close group of friends back home who are just a phone call away, and they'll come up and watch a home game and stay over at my place. So I know it's a typical answer, friends and family.
Looking back so far, what's one lesson or piece of advice you want to share with someone trying to follow a path similar to yours?
That's a great question. I'll give 2 pieces of advice if that's okay. I would say stay level-headed through it all. You're gonna face setbacks. You're gonna have high highs and low lows, but kind of try and stay the course. For me personally, tearing my ACL was a big low, obviously. And then my freshman year, we made it to the conference championship game, and we won the regular season championship. So that could have been a high, but you kind of gotta, ride the highs and lows.
Yep.
and not get too thrown off by things that come along the way. And then the second thing I would say is use your teammates. I've said it many times, just sitting
Yep.
here with you. I've been so lucky to have great leaders along the way. So kind of pick their brains every opportunity you can. Learn from them, respect them because they've been here.
Yep.
And then, kind of take what they've taught you and bring it to the next generation of players.
You're built-in best friends.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, Aiden, thank you for coming on the podcast today. And we can't wait to see what is going to come, and stay tuned for new episodes every Friday.
Thanks for having me.